fear her and then burst her down as well. Vex has an incredible amount of burst once she starts building those items.
But in theory, I'm gonna play devil's advocate here for a second. House could probably do the same thing to Nosferatu, right? It's like, in theory, this is an assassin versus assassin matchup. If House is able to play the Tristana as an assassin rather than as a typical marksman, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if House can dodge out on those fearing abilities from Nosferatu, then Nosferatu doesn't have a really good outplay, counterplay kind of thing to House just jumping on his face and putting a bomb on his head. But at the same time, if Nosferatu does land that fear, then yes, House is pretty much caught out. Almost always, I would say, from that ability. It's just too much CC, too much damage, but definitely this mid lane matchup, you don't get to see many assassin versus assassins in professional play.
We've been starting to see more in CBLOL, which I actually really appreciate because I do think this split, more than any other, the mid lane talent has definitely increased, and there's a lot of really good mechanical players in there. But that's it. I actually would argue that I want to see House play it more as a marksman than as assassin here, because
Oh,
Vex is all about personal space, right? The big interrupt is that personal space here. And if you play as a marksman, you stay outside that space. If you jump in, that's when you get feared. Ty coming for the solo invade. He's just trying to stop Yampi, slow him down, but he's playing with fire. He's still sticking around, and there's a massive collapse coming in.
CZK realizes Tay is very deep in his own jungle, and he's gonna land a couple of autos on him. He's gonna make it look like he can go for some sort of kill, but Yampi, you see, is just not having anything to do with this top lane 1v1. They have to actually stop the interview early because they're 1v1ing top lane. Tay actually
Oh.
gonna force to be flash away over the wall. I think both top laners coming out at about 50% HP. ZZK just a little bit ahead, but that little bit ahead is enough to zone Tay off this entire first mini wave of experience.
Yeah, this is a very interesting choice from Ty here. I like the decision team-wide because we've said before Ty is not the most mechanical player. It's all about decision making, and he actually slows Yampi's jungle down significantly, which is huge because INTZ has been playing a really strong early game. A lot of it coming off Yampi's ganks into the lanes, setting up for plays. The problem is he burnt Flash to do it, and he's completely sacked his lane. Ty has yet to get a single CS right now, and sure, you set Yampi behind, you get Desamus ahead, but ZZK is going to get ahead. And that Jax, I feel like, is a huge carry condition for INTZ here.
Yeah, and on the flip side of that as well, Desamus is not a massive carry condition for Fluxo, right? Like, I
Yep.
would understand putting a massive jungle CS lead on your jungler if it was something like, you know, like a Viego or a Karthus or one of these champions that you know is going to 1v9 later in this game, but
Yeah.
it's a Maokai. Maokai is building Aftershock in this game as well, which means he's not building full AP Demonic Embrace, Imperial Mandate, anything like that. He's going for the tank style, which means even if he is a little bit ahead, even significantly ahead of Yampi, they're going to be mostly doing the same things in team fights.
Yeah, maybe Demonic into Radiant, I think, is what we're seeing a lot. Pros are very loath to let go of Demonic Embrace. We are on 13.1b,
Okay.
or effectively 13.2, but yeah, Demonic Embrace did get nerfed. So there are other builds, and hey, maybe Decimus will surprise us there. And look at the CS. Despite slowing Yampi down, Yampi is still ahead of Decimus a little bit here, looking for those ganks. So Ty's sacrifice, we'll have to see if it is in vain. How's actually just coming back to the lane right now with a cull as well. So Fluxo, they're topside a little bit behind ZZK.
Oh, ZZK taking
True.
2 tower shots. That negates most of the health lead that he had over Tay. They are still both sitting very low in terms of mana though, so I'm not actually expecting any kills unless CZK just he's just in a bad spot at this point. He was playing like he had a health lead and then just in a second lost his entire health lead, and now his wave is just frozen underneath Tay's turret. This is exactly what Tay needed to get back into this top lane.
Yeah, and I love that How's like walked up for a second, considering like, should I try and gank this top lane? ZZK is really,
No.
really low. Ultimately decided not to. Even pop the Scryers, and you can see the moment he popped the Scryers, there was that missing ping telling ZZK, hey, you need to back off. That is a very efficient way to protect your top lane. Bot lane 3v3.
Falling 3v3, Yampi first jungler to arrive here. Desamu's just a little bit late, but
Ooh.
the late is actually going to secure his own AD carry. The first kill, Ninja Kiwi putting in plenty of autos, but that heal and a couple of autos is not going to be enough to turn that back around for a 1v1. First blood picked up there by Bronze, actually.
Yeah, onto the AD carry, onto the bot gap here. That's
Yep.
a frightful thought to think of if you're Ninja Kiwi and Nia, who have been bullied out and pressed the turret for most of the game thus far. Now, the 3v3, Samus got there first. And I think that made a huge difference because he got more damage down. So I guess we call it worth retiring the top lane?
It's worth if your jungler gets there 1 second before the enemy jungler. And you know what? That 1 second really did make a big difference. Bronze playing with fire here. He wants to clear this final wave before getting that first reset, but I think he might have stayed a little bit too long with this little bit of a poor timing on the reset. They're going to be giving at least 1 plate, maybe a plate and a half even to Ninja Kiwi and Nia, assuming that they don't match the reset here.
Yeah, I mean, even if they do match the reset, that's still a wave and a half that Bruntsy and Jojo
Yes.
Are going to be missing out here. Now, he is going to come back with a pickaxe, so that's going to be nice. Full pickaxe up over Ninja Kiwi right now. So that will help them continue dominating into this bot lane. But INTZ don't play their bot lane like everyone else. We're not seeing an Enchanter. We're not seeing a Marksman paired with the Varus here. Nia has shown really good ability with engaged champions and roaming. So we can see Ninja Kiwi back. Nia actually looking for the roam into other lanes, into the mid lane. And Nosferus is level 6. There is a lot of burst potential to come through in this mid lane from both sides.
And I would like to see more jungle pressure here in the mid lane. We've seen, I think, like a half a gank in the top lane. It was more of a pressure gank than anything else, right? Like, Disama's just like showing his face on the top side jungle, and that was enough to keep ZZK from going in for a 1v1. But other than that, pretty quiet in the top lane. Of course, we just did have the 3v3 down in the bot lane, but it's an assassin versus assassin mid lane. They have just both popped 6 as well, so these ultimates could absolutely play a crucial part in some sort of 1v1 outplay. We're just assuming that this mid lane is going to like explode. One of them is going to become 2-0 and just take over the game at this point. Like, is there going to be a dragon fight? Probably not. It's going to be a 1v1 in the mid lane and then go and take the dragon.
Yeah, I mean, it's Cloud Dragon, so I don't think either side's particularly rushed to take this one. Fluxo, though, should have the edge right now. They're bot lane with that Karma Caitlyn and the pickaxe we're kind of talking about. They've got better shove, and once again, if you look into the bot side, they're the ones pushing out at all times. Fluxo, this feels like an opportunistic dragon. It's more like, hey, our lanes are kind of shoved. We got nothing better to do. Let's just take this one, clear it off the board. I would love to see this transfer into a gank, though. I mean, Ninja Kiwi and Nia are going to shove out in response. Nosferus actually holding the wave here, trying to make sure that he doesn't expose himself to a Disami gank.
Very safe style coming out from INTZ in the early game here, completely giving over that first dragon without a contest. Somehow the Karma Montracue lands onto both members, putting a slow onto both of them. Nature's Grass coming out, landing onto both as well, and just going to be enough damage to secure a second kill onto the bot lane here. 1 kill apiece between Desamas and Bronze. Ninja Kiwi and Nia even are not having a good time.
I actually thought that Bruntsy and Jojo pulled the trigger a little bit early there, just running out the bush. But they brute forced it. And the fact that Nia barely survived that is not a good sign. They could have found both kills there. And if Bruntsy, I think he ticked off level 6 in the middle of, or at the end of that fight. So he didn't have ace in the hole ready. Or else that very well could have been a double kill. Cam, that's repeatable. Fluxo can just do that as soon as this misses out, comes right back up.
And even, I would say, once House starts roaming around the map here as well, I definitely think Tristana is a good champion to roam around the map with, as we do get a little bit of a replay back here on the bot lane, as you see Bronze still sitting level 5. So, like you said, popping that level 6 just immediately after he pops it, I think on like this next minion that he kills. I want to see it. Oh, maybe the melee minion. I think the melee minion gave it to him.
Yeah, it had to be that wave. It was so close. And again, like, in a way, Nia turned around, and that kind of caused a lot of the problems that happened there. Ideally, Ninja Kiwi should have just left Nia to die. Like, Nia's job as a support is to peel for you. Ninja Kiwi, he's being a good bro, but that's not ideal when you're the AD carry. Still, though, ahead in CS, and that is absolutely massive here. Granted, the wave is going to balance that out, but Nosferus?
Nosferus going to be forced to flash over the Dragon Pit wall there, just a couple of feet behind Yampi and Nia, means he will be the first member caught out ace in the hole for a little bit of poke. Nia not quite in range to pass the friendship test there for Ninja Kiwi, but that was an excellent wave setup for Ninja Kiwi, stacking about a wave and a half plus the cannon underneath Bronze's tower. But as you see, even with the 4-man collapse, it was the 2 versus 1 that Fluxo was still able to find a slight advantage of, and pretty much saving Bronze's life.
Yeah, props to INTZ. They are trying to be a bit more proactive, and what we've seen from this team is that they do get a lot of leads in the early game. House? Oh, the flash!
Landing the flash as well underneath the turret. The cannot connect. Nosfer is playing almost perfectly just outside of the range of House. So well done by both mid laners there.
Okay, that was so on purple House. That became a 3v1. If not, House gets the kill. And I love the fact that House knew he was screwed. Like, he went in here, he's like, I'm not getting back out here. Like, I'm going hard for Nosferus there. Almost finds it, too. And if he had, that was absolutely amazing. We were just talking about INTZ's sort of early proactive gameplay, and finally, it pays off. This team, despite the fact that they're struggling to find wins, actually has the second highest goal differential at 15, about 800. I believe it's 806 to be exact. But their early game is generally very, very good. And Fluxo has stifled them utterly at this point. They don't have to lead. Oh, that's beautiful. So that flash right there to hop over, beautiful. And then he jumps in. The problem is, as we said, you hop in, there's personal space to deal with. And that actually messed up House a little bit. He didn't get the extra auto off that he needed to reset. He wouldn't have got out no matter what. Even the reset, he'd still have died to turret. But at least he'd have gotten the kill as it stands. Doesn't get it. Still, even in CS, still has the call. Not the end of the world.
Not the end of the world, but Nosferus does have Mythic over House now, as you do see Desamus, I think the gold lead there. It's gold, not damage, right?
Yeah, that's gold.
Yeah, gold. So Desamus and Bronze actually sitting neck and neck on the top of the gold lead just because they're the ones with the kills right now. No one else really has any kills. Nosferus just picking up his first kill did mean that he gets his crown just a little bit over House. Now, crown being probably one of the only mythics in the game where having a crown lead over a no mythic lead doesn't actually mean a whole lot in terms of a 1v1. It's gonna mean more later on in team fights, but it's definitely not an item that you see like lane dominant champions take, right? It's very much a I'm gonna play safe for later kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you see it on assassin style champions like Vex where they have to put their bodies at risk to make the play. But I agree with you. It's not that like win harder sort of thing. It's more of a, I'm going to protect my lead. Or in this specific case, it's not even that useful against Tristana because Tristana pops the shield incredibly easily and her burst is not front loaded, right? You got to stack the explosive shot. By the time it's stacked, the crown passive has already worn off. So that is more for team fights coming through from Nosferus. He's not playing for the lane here. He's playing to set everybody else up. And now Dragon coming up in 10 seconds. This is when that sort of item shines if you can set up in these sort of skirmishes.
Flash is missing on most members on the bot side here, though. You have one flash on Nia and one flash on Bronson. Those are going to be probably the two members to watch here before this Dragon fight comes online. Rift Herald crashes, but I believe the only member to pick up the plates there was Desamus, assuming Desamus was the one to drop the Rift Herald. And Dragon will now be started up by INTZ. This is the second Dragon, one Infernal for them if they are able to take it. But Fluxo absolutely is in a position to contest, position to steal it away. They need to do something here. Nature's Grab's going to come out a little bit early, but on the bot side, the bot lane is not going to be able to live for very long. They're burning a lot of safety cooldowns to just try and get away. And Desamus on the other side of the fight, the Nature's Grasp was just too early and not going to land on anyone House. Now, able to jump in, but jumping in only to a fear, but the fear will not be enough. Instead, it fears away INTZ, and they just give the Dragon back to Fluxo.
Yeah, INTZ don't have a choice. They got poked out so heavily, and I cannot wait for the replay for that because Fluxo played that fight immaculately, the way they kind of kite it back here. And Desamus, I was right with you. It felt like they pulled the trigger on that out a little bit early. It felt a bit disjointed, but they're pulling it off over and over and over again. It's not too early. It's coming just in time here. And that's practice. That's communication.
Yeah, that was really strong communication there from Fluxo. They knew that they were going to be split at the beginning of that fight there with like the bot lane kind of on the bot side of the river and then House and Desamus on the top side. And initially it looked like the bot lane was just going to get one shot. And if they did get one shot, that would have been devastating for Fluxo. But the fact that they were just about able to live, burning most of their summoners, Ninja Kiwi, burning most of the summoners, and now Ninja Kiwi's flash there just after the fight as well. Unfortunately for him there, and he's having a rough time still. Ninja Kiwi and Niwi, they have been shut out from this game. He was even forced to build a Mortal Shield Bow, which, from my memory, I don't think Varus' build shield bow. I could be wrong on that, but
no, they don't usually. I mean, you do with the on-hit build sometimes, but it's usually not the first item that you're looking to rush here as the Varus by a long shot. But Ninja Kiwi, he has been bullied out in lane pretty badly, and I think he forgot for a second that House wasn't Brunsey and was like, oh, I'm kind of safe. I've got that distance, and then House hopped in his Tristana and he's like, oh, wait, crap. Like, I have Mythic, they don't, but Tristana can probably still kill me here.
That's just the power of an assassin versus a marksman, right? Like, yes, he is kind of a marksman, but not in that scenario. Dasam is going to be
Oh
hooked into the rest of
my
INTZ, but
goodness.
that is not the person that you wanted to hook. Nia will actually be the first member to be picked
ZK?
off there. Ninja Kiwi trying to turn it back around, doing plenty of damage, able
Oh!
to take out Dasama's back on the other side house. Just about able to run away with a little
Oh!
bit of extra HP, but the double kill now back over to Ninja Kiwi. Tay on his own, trying to continue the engage single-handedly, but without much damage follow-up. Fluxo just given 2 kills back over to INTZ.
Yeah, and these kills are not equal. Fluxo, I think they're playing these team fights really, really well. Desamas being the one to tank everything, and you can tell that team, again, we talk about coordination, right? Communication. The hook lands, and the team's like, okay, they got our tank, go, go, go. And immediately Nia just gets popped. Ninja Kiwi gets forced out. The problem is the rest of the fight and how it plays out here. INTZ individually, they're really good at getting out of tough positions. You can see all the carries here, Ninja Kiwi, Nosferus. They're positioning well so that they're not in huge threat. And the fadeaway snipe coming through from Ninja Kiwi there. It should have been a clean 2-1 for Fluxo, but they just lost track of that Bears for a second, and Jojo, that was probably off screen for Jojo. Out of vision, didn't realize the arrow was coming.
I'm with you on this one, RMC. I want to see a replay of that one. I don't think we're going to see a replay. Because there's just so much constantly happening around the map, though. The second Rift Shield is started up by INTZ. Fluxo was the ones to get the first Rift Shield, so INTZ looking to try and equal out the map pressure. As meanwhile, Tay, he does have TP, split pushing down there on the bot side. It is Unleashed TP as well, just in case anything happens around this Herald house, fighting just millimeters outside of ZZK's range there, and might just be caught out 2v3 here in the favor of INTZ's TP coming in now from Tay on the bot side, but
So
Desamas
tanky!
so low HP, but yet is still alive.
Oh!
ZZK gonna flash in, but not gonna be flashing onto anyone on Fluxo. Nature Scrap's coming out for a little bit of re-engage here for Fluxo, but there's just not gonna be enough damage to land any kills. And meanwhile, on somewhere on the other side of the map, Ninja Kiwi lands a kill onto Bronze and Jojo. I think there's a bot lane 2v2 in the top side river. Okay, Ninja Kiwi.
Hold up, yeah, I mean, what happened to bot cap?
Wait, what happened here?
They were winning in the 2v2 for the longest time, and then out of nowhere, Ninja Kiwi and Nia, surely they're going to replay that one, because I want to see, I'm going to assume Nia finds the hook, because Nia has been beautiful, great with the engage. Yeah, sure enough, Nia's just pulling the trigger onto that particular play. And Nia, this is a support who I've been very, very pleasantly surprised with here, because in a meta where enchanters and marksmen are sort of the go-to here, beautiful. Yeah, Ninja Kiwi's kiting is also really good. But Nia finding the engage there on engaged champions, that's not something we're seeing too much in the meta. And I love that Nia's defying the meta right now. And engaged champions feel so much better in the mid game. The laning is kind of rough, but get them out of lane. And they just feel so much more impactful in these skirmishes, especially the small ones like the 2v2s. ZZK?
Bye, ZZK. I don't see a way that he gets out of this one. No flash, just uses his jump to get into the fight there as well. I think maybe best case scenario, he was going to go for a 1-for-1 there, but yeah, absolutely not. In the 1v3, not much he can really do about that one, but meanwhile, the second Rift Herald will be dropped here in the mid lane for INTZ, and they do equal out the total towers, but I actually like taking the mid tower more than the bot tower for, of course, it's mid versus bot. Mid is always going to be helpful, bot is only going to be helpful, and specific scenarios here is just in that last replay, of course, we noticed Jojo flashed down instead of up. I think if he flashed up, he would have shut down Ninja Kiwi, but the fact that he flashed down, I have to say it, broke the Mantra W, and the Mantra W on the second recast of it does do a little bit of extra damage, and I definitely think it would have killed Ninja Kiwi, but just him breaking that was, it was so sad.
Heat of the moment. Unfortunately, didn't pan out. We do see turrets being traded. Top outer for bot inner here. And I think Fluxo, yeah, the losing the mid turret kind of stung, but they do win out the turret trading war here, at least in the side lanes. And that changes the scenario a little bit, because for INTZ, the extended side lanes are actually good for them. ZZK's Jax right now is an absolute monster, and probably can hold its own against Tai here. So if that Jax is online, then it benefits INTZ to have these longer lanes. But Fluxo, they want more map pressure to get objectives. They've stacked the dragons. They're at Soul Point right now. Baron is coming up, and their team fights have looked better. So for Fluxo, ideally, the side lanes, they just kind of set up the waves, and then they push in for this mid side. I agree with you. I think the mid turret's the most important thing for Fluxo right now. and they're struggling actually to push into Nosferus, into Ninja Kiwi's wave clear.
Yeah, Nosferus has had an excellent wave clear throughout this entire match. Really good wave control, really, in general, just keeping it frozen right outside of his tower most of the game, and that is how his tower has maintained pretty much 70% of his HP throughout the duration of the game. Dasama's still going to be the one engaged 1v3 in his own jungle, forced to flash away Jojo as well, taking the brunt of Nia's ultimate, as well as the ignite. So plenty of important cooldowns there burned by Nia. I think INTZ were trying to set up for some sort of Baron play, and if they killed Dasamus, there would have absolutely been a Baron angle, as it is the jungler going down at 20 minutes, but Dasamus just about able to flash away from that one. I don't see... Oh, yeah, I was going to say there's no objective baddies, or objective timers on the board. Am I blind? What's the dragon timer right now?
Yeah, I think they removed it in the last fight and forgot to put it back.
I was like, is it just not available for that?
It should be coming out, I think, about roughly 2.5 minutes, somewhere around there. House versus Nosferus here. Flash in.
No. Okay, I mean, flash for flash trade. Neither will have flash for the next dragon fight. That was my initial point, was Dasama's blowing his flash there before a dragon fight, and then I realized that I don't know when the dragon is. So I'm gonna assume that he's not gonna have flash for that dragon fight, and now both assassin mid laners won't have their flashes available either. So this dragon fight, the soul fight as well for Fluxo, missing a lot of important cooldowns on really both sides of the map now, will be very interesting fight, missing many flashes.
And I do want to highlight the fact that House used the flash rather than the rocket jump there. It's not like it wasn't off cooldown, but if you rocket jump, personal space denies you. If you flash, you can't stop that. And that's why Nosferus also had to flash out in exchange, knew that, hey, I don't win this trade. The Montristan is actually in range of me. Vex doesn't have a mobility at Scape either. So in the fight as well later on, House has that reposition. Nosferus doesn't, and that's why we're seeing Fluxo willing to trade flash for flash like that.
Nia taking a little bit of damage there. It is now Fluxo on the top side of the map trying to set up around this Baron. We've seen so many 20-minute Barons. They used to be so uncommon. Now you just kind of assume 20 minutes on the board. Well, we're about to see a Baron fight potentially here on the top side of the river. Shirelles has been popped. Nature Scraps as well, landing only onto Yampi, and he's just so tanky you can't do anything about the Sejuani take. Going to be taking a lot of his HP in trade for ZZK on the other side of the fight. House as well, blowing his ultimate very early in this fight. And there goes Dasamus underneath the turret, trades out his life for a miracle 1-for-1 Jojo as well, taking out Nia on the bot side of the fight. Yampi just running as fast as he can. You have no jungler, you have no HP. It's a jungle for support trade though. 1-for-1 with your soul spawning in, I have to assume, like 60 seconds at this point.
Yeah, despite the 1-for-1 camp, make no mistake, Fluxo won that particular fight. Many things went in their favor. And the only reason why Dasamus died there was because he went on a massive trip. Like, INTZ had flashes to drag him under turret as well. If he wasn't under turret, Dasamus survives that particular play. And the most important thing actually happened on the top side, slightly off screen, and that was House 1v1ing ZZK. The Jax is supposed to be the master duelist. Wait, take off that stole. Ninja Kiwi steals away the Scuttle on Dragon.
Oh my goodness.
That was cute. That's it. The 1v1. House is winning out the 1v1 right now. No one can match House, and that's a problem if you're ZZK. Not only can you not win the duel, ZZK can't get a flank position, can't get into the fight as long as House is on the flank as well.
Flank traded for flank. Yes, yes. The flank math here. 2 versus 1, or 2+1 even on the flank. Who has more?
Faster math. I'm not going to try to do this, even if we're talking about flanks.
Well, it looks like we have an exact mirror of our last team right here, just on the other side of the river here in the mid lane. Once again, putting all of our engage onto Yampi, but Nosferus finds the angle onto Bronze. They have to burn so many defensive spells just to keep him alive, and Bronze will still end up going down. Nosferus ends up trading his life, though, for the 80 carry, and now ZZK gets the free jump onto House, trading that out for the leapfrog on House as well. It is a 1-for-2, 1-for-3 even in the favor of Fluxo. This should just be a dragon now for them, even with their pretty low HP bars.
Yeah, a little bit scary. This dragon here, Ninja Kiwi, is full health and still looking to poke out with that Varus Q. This is Hex map as well. TP available. ZZK using the TP here.
TP coming in from ZZK, full HP on ZZK, but not
Bowser's
full
back.
HP on any member here
Oh.
of Fluxo. Ninja Kiwi easily able to take this one out. This could be a potential
Is he down?
quadra egg for Ninja Kiwi if he could just kite it out. He has the
Oh, he
damage, he has the kiting, and he gets the double kill on the backside of the fight as well. ZZK will end up giving his life for it, but the soul is in Fluxo's hands.
Hextech Soul as well, Cam. INTZ are going to find it real rough from here on out. They have poked, they have engaged, but now Fluxo has got a slow they can use to control a lot of that spacing between these two teams. But Cam, let's talk about Ninja Kiwi right now, because INTZ, we come to this, we're talking about the mid lane. We talk about Nosferus as a massive carry for the team, as the one leading the way. But in this fight, it's not Nosferus. Nosferus goes in, gets forced out. Instead, watch Ninja Kiwi's positioning here at the back and target selection as well. You can see that Tai goes in. Ninja Kiwi's not worried about Tai. He actually ignores Tai and goes in for the back line. And that's what actually turns a lot of this fight and makes it playable after for the Dragon, because everybody's low from Ninja Kiwi. And then we're talking about this, the fact that, hey, Ninja Kiwi's poke is going to make this really, really dangerous as well. This is not about ZZK. ZZK is a distraction. If you focus on him, Ninja Kiwi gets the free fire. Auto on hit Varus, attack after attack kills everybody, and house that massive duelist who can handle ZZK in the 1v1 couldn't handle Ninja Kiwi in the 1v1.
That replay, honestly, to me, looked like some miscommunication from Fluxo around the Dragon. They had the person advantage here, and I'm going to say this later, as we got apparently another team fight around the Baron now on the top side here. Yabi almost one-shot by House. He has a bomb on his head, and I think he might just be dead. No jungler for INTZ might just be yet another objective for Fluxo. They got 4 dragons, 1 herald, and now 1 potential baron on our hands here. They're INTZ gonna try and break that trap line, but it's only going to dissuade them for a couple of seconds. A couple of seconds is enough time for Fluxo to pick up their now 5-man baron. INTZ just has to walk away. This is not a fight that you want to take for INTZ. And yeah, back on the last point there, Fluxo around that dragon fight, it looked like miscommunication where Jojo actually wanted to turn it back around on Ninja Kiwi, but he can't 1v1 Ninja Kiwi. He was doing it just because he, in voice comms, I'm expecting he was probably like, guys, we got to kill him. It's 3v1 right now. ZZK wasn't even in the fight at that point, and then Ninja Kiwi just got a double kill because they did not focus him in the dragon pit. How's my friend? You're not a split pusher. I lied.
Yes,
apparently,
he is.
apparently he is a split pusher. My bad.
Hey man, if you can handle ZZK, you can handle anybody in the 1v1 right now, except for Ninja Kiwi.
Wait, what? Okay, House eventually went down. I was like, there's no shot he's still gonna live through this, right? But no, INTZ with their collapse on House, it was actually House collapsing on INTZ there around the top lane tower. House does end up falling as well as Jojo, but 4 members from INTZ trading it out with the Baron still on 3. Fluxo could be looking to take an inhibitor here.
Yeah, I think the dragon fight, the soul fight, really, Cam, was what the straw that broke the camel's back here. Not because of the fight, but because soul went over. And this Hextech Soul, you can see what we're talking about when we're talking about creating space. INTZ, they try and collapse. The idea is good, but they literally cannot collapse fast enough. And with the slows applying down as well, the moment INTZ kind of see Fluxo like that, it's up to Fluxo whether they want to fight. If Fluxo want to fight, INTZ can't actually disengage anymore. Baron empowered recalls for this reset. They take that inhibitor like you call, and now it's mid, it's bot, the map is Fluxo's playground, and for INTZ, if they want to turn this, they need to find a pick. If they go 5v5, they're going to lose every time.
And ideally, this pick would be onto, at this point, probably Tay or Desamas. They've been the strong takey frontliners that have kept Fluxo alive with the amount of damage that House and Bronze are just able to do on the other side of the fight, right? And as well, you got a 300 shutdown right now on to Tay. This is a pretty hard shutdown to pick up because, of course, Tay is still very tanky. But if you can, and ideally getting that on a Ninja Kiwi as well, Ninja Kiwi has shown time and time again, you give him some gold, he will make the game work more in his favor, sitting 8-3 right now on the Varus. Looking at a Guardian Angel as well for his 4th item. It's going to be very hard to kill him in this next team fight with the stopwatch.
I mean, at this point, I'd actually prefer to see the gold onto Nosferus instead. I think Ninja Kiwi is fed, and yes, he does a lot with that gold, but INTZ just need a secondary carry to help Ninja Kiwi, man. The poor kid, he's a kid, and his back is breaking right now trying to carry this team. 3-1 here. And I think it goes partially back to that crown that you mentioned earlier, right, Cam? It's not the damage you need. And when you pick a champion like Vex here, you need to be able to burst somebody down. Even if you die in the process, you need to find those kills. Fight kicks off.
Yampi landing the onto Bronze. Easy cancel jumping immediately onto Bronze. So much use to try and kill him, and they still can't take him down. Redemption as well, keeping everyone at max HP, and just like that, INTZ crumble underneath Fluxo. Nothing left to do. You got a double kill now coming up for House, fishing for the triple, and Yampi just running away. No one left to keep him alive, and just like that, Tay flashing over the wall as well for some extra style points. Fluxo shutting it down. INTZ securing their spot as the 4th place team for now until our next matchup here later today.
Yep, and then the next matchup will decide, whether they stay tied 4th or, well, who will stay tied 4th,
yes.
I guess, with Fluxo here. Great play from both of these teams, and congrats to Fluxo. Let's talk a little bit about Fluxo as well. We harp a lot